How's everybody doing? Sure, you were already clapping. Sorry, there's good.
Guys, we're going to start and just pray, because I know we're all a little hype. All right, let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we know that we're here because you set us out to be here. God, we know that improv is so fun, but God, help us see that you're so fun. You want so much favor and love over us. So we ask that as we step into such a fun place, that you would just settle our hearts. So give us a second to just feel your presence, to remember that this is all about you, not about us, which is what is so fun about improv. Help us to just be you-focused, to not be distracted as we're excited. And just thank you for every single person in this room. May they feel loved. May they feel chosen by you. And any actor who's just feeling a little sad right now or discouraged, may we be a place that just ignites a flame because you're igniting something in us. So be with us. Thank you for my husband, and what a blast he is. And I pray our baby does well during this time.
Amen.
Amen.
In Jesus' name. I love you. So yeah, as a lot of you know, my wife just had a baby, so she's going to sit right here with me and answer some fun questions and be around. Guys, who's really excited about all that's happening in the faith-based film and stories that are redeeming, right? Yeah. This is huge. This is a totally new environment for Amber and I as we spent several years pursuing careers that were, I would say, maybe us-focused. Both of our backgrounds are in theater and musical theater, and that was kind of our dream, was to be on Broadway and to dance and sing in New York City, right? And it was awesome that God opened up the door for us to have the opportunity really to transition that into film, because this medium has become one of the most passionate things next to our family and the Lord that we get to do and share together. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like every day that I wake up and look at this beautiful woman, I'm inspired to be a better creative, because she is one of the best actresses I've ever seen. And that's just like God. That's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I can only say that's from the Holy Spirit. And so I'm just so grateful for him. One of my life verses, and it was funny, my mom is here in the back taking care of our baby. Everybody can take a glance.
Thanks, Mom.
One of my life verses that 15 years ago, we were doing a musical, and my mom was directing, and she was encouraging us all to memorize it. As I memorized it, it became a verse that has continuously blessed Amber and I, and me personally, as I've journeyed through, and honestly, as I've struggled in seasons of pursuing things for me or for my desires or for what I want to be successful in. And it's Philippians 2-4. It says, "Complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, and being in full accord. Do nothing out of rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you not look only to his own interests, but also to the interest of others." And not only is that verse important for Amber and I and what we pray about on a daily basis for our students in Cumming, Georgia. We've got an acting studio. We've got two students who are here from it, right? What up? Where are they? Chloe and Mackenzie are here. They drove down. We're excited. And we have prayed over that process over and over and over again with that verse in mind and trying to encourage them. But also, as we've looked at what makes a great actor, what do we see in great self-tapes? What do we see in great films when we watch? And it comes back to that verse every time. And this verse is applicable to us because when we shift our focus from how can I personally make an impact in the audience or the people in the theater watching to how can we collaboratively, and the producers were talking about this on the panel, as well as pretty much all of the workshops, I think, here at Christian Worldview have been pointing back and forth to when we shift our focus off of our own hearts and the things that we are craving or desires as artists, because we really want to be excellent in our art, and I think it's good for us to offer the Lord our excellence. But when we give it to him and are in surrender and complete surrender, what he's going to do through us and give us the opportunities to use our gifts for are way past. David Cook just said it. He can bless us way past what we could even ask for. So that verse has been super impactful in my life, and I know Amber has a verse that she wanted to share as well.
Yeah, you guys, this week in my devotional time, I got so excited to talk to Jesus and then talk to Justin about the freedom of when we are pursuing something that is God ordained versus something that we're pursuing alone. that is not going to be successful. Because those of you who know Sherry Rigby, she has this awesome Women in My World podcast, and she has this awesome question that's like, what do you define success is? And so it was so nice to go to Romans 11 and feel like, okay, I've been thinking about this for 2 months. What would I say? You know, here's one of my mentors, a Christian woman I love and respect. What would I say to even my own husband, I think success is? What would I tell God I think is successful? And then I realized, I was like, God, I need you to tell me. It's not about what I think success is. Like, show me in your word what it is. And so he took me to Romans 11, and it's in the Message version. And it says, and then what happened? Well, when Israel tried to be right with God on her own, pursuing her own self-interest, she didn't succeed. The chosen ones of God were those who let God pursue his interest in them, and as a result received his stamp of legitimacy. So if you're here and you're like, Justin, we're improv, it's like he came out of the womb and was just funny and amazing. Or you're like me, where you came out of the womb and you're like playing soccer, and then God's like, I want you to do acting. And it scares you, then that's okay. There's both of us, and we both want to represent today that God has pursued this in both of us with different temperaments, and he can use any personality, any kind of human, and make you legitimate because his stamp of legitimacy is on you. So there's nothing that we have to prove, right? So if you're terrified to, I guess I don't want us to be that close, PDA.
Satan.
I'm like, wow. But if you kind of feel as an actor, right, like you're nervous to get up. I mean, has anyone ever been so nervous to get up to do improv? Anybody?
Ooh, it's a big room.
So raise your hand if you're like Justin and you just get so stoked. You're like, get up, yes.
There he is.
So we expect y'all to get up later.
I love it.
But it's kind of nice because no matter what audition, whether you have to cry on cue or it's, you're trying to be the person that lands the jokes and helps someone else, his stamp of legitimacy is what we're after, not us trying to prove ourselves. And I still struggle with that, but this verse, it's Romans 11, and it's in the Message, is this kind of version right here. I just want to encourage you today, even if you're afraid, he has pursued you to be here. And it's okay if you're afraid. Just get up and do it anyway.
I love that. I just want to sit and listen to her all the time. So good. I'll tell you guys one thing that I have kind of learned over the course of several different mediums of using improv or thinking on the fly, off the cuff, whatever you want to call it. And it's that honestly, most people, I personally feel like, devalue improv to being something that's only for the butt of the joke or only for really comedic, really funny people. And I come from a dance background. We talked about, theater and how, we were involved in that. And for 10 years, we were studying ballet and jazz. And every time that I kind of was like, this is a little, I don't know if I want to be doing all these pliés and whatever. I actually met a football player, and he was like, yeah, I'm doing ballet right now. And I'm like, whoa, that's out of left field. Why are you doing that? He said, well, it's a really good foundation for your core, and it's really good for your motor skills and all these things. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And so when we were prepping for today, we talked about, like, the foundation for acting, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, comes from different tools in our toolkit. And one of them is improv. And really, I believe that as you step into what God is calling you as your professional career, is everybody in this room actors? Raise your hand if you're an actor. Raise your hand if you're a producer or director in here and you're not one. Nice, love it, good to see it. That's awesome. There are so many things that I think we can learn and grow in as actors, as creatives, that come from roots, right? And this is one of those roots, and I'm just so grateful that we're getting the opportunity to talk about it and to dive into some more details about it.
I'm going to tag on for 2 seconds,
Please.
honey. And what I love about what Justin just said is that today we were so excited to not just talk about the fun side of improv, right? And how many times we've had to stay in character, the camera's still rolling, and it's a dramatic scene, and they're expecting us to keep going with stuff that's not even written. Is it a last moment? Am I improving just a beat where I look at her differently, or am I actually saying something in character or going, what? And that's not even scripted because that's our moment, right? So we're excited to talk about that today too, and how we have put that into self-tapes, because a lot of times with self-tapes, you could have a first moment and a last moment that is not scripted, and the director will love it because you're so in character that the director or writer might keep it in. That just happened with us for one of the movies we shot last year, and it was so fun because I was just trying to get in the character of this high school girl. We actually played love interest in it. It was very fun. And it was really easy because we were just pretending we met in high school, which we didn't. And so I think that when you think of improv, it's more about being free, but don't just limit yourself to thinking it's just fun. It can also be drama where you could still be crying and saying something to your mom or something.
So good. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I put this in the blurb kind of when we posted the website, but I have a favorite quote from Ratatouille. I love chef movies and movies that have to do with cooking. It's like a part-time hobby thing I love to do. And it says, anyone can be great, but only the fearless, or anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great. And I think the fearless in us, when we are able to embody the confidence that comes from Christ and builds our character, is when we feel free enough to actually take risks. And the truth is, improv is really high risk, right? Are there any comedians in the room? There he is, back in the back. Oh, come on. Improv, when you make a joke, or when he said, that in the back, that's me. When you go for something, or when you make a joke, you've spent time writing it, or it's off the cuff, it's improving because you're filling the room, and it flops, you got to wake up tomorrow and go back and do it again, right? And you got to try again, and you got to wait for a different audience to receive that joke differently, or you've got to rewrite that joke and be ready on the fly to give a different delivery of it. And it's a discouraging thing as an actor, you guys, when we get on set and we're like, yes, specifically if it's our first time, right? Or if it's like a beginner that hasn't booked often, or that's like just now kind of getting into, if you're super young. Is everybody who's in high school? I'm so curious to know. Raise your hand if you're in high school still. That's awesome. A lot of college, and in college, yeah. Awesome. That's so good. We have so much youth that we're growing up and raising into this industry, and it can be really intimidating to step onto set for the first time, and for a director to come up to you and be like, "Hey, this is working really great, but I want you to throw everything you memorized out the door and just give me something real and raw." Would that be freaky to you guys? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah, it is to me still, and I like take a stance of I'm an improv, first actor, which is important to me, and being able to utilize that skill set. And I know that I sit back and I'm like, cool, okay, and he leaves or she leaves, and I'm like, okay, and I'm coming up with all these ideas, right? And I'm trying to decide what those are, and in the process, I found this like overly beneficial tactic and method, right? And it comes back to what everybody here at Christian Worldview has talked to is, it's prayer, right? And it comes with, when we prep for a day on set, when we prep for a big scene that we have coming up, or something that we're extra nervous about, or honestly, for me, I get more nervous for the scenes that have the jokes, because comedy is hard, right? Comedy and delivery is really difficult, and physical posture and the way that we interact with people is something that we often take for granted. And I think when we look at people and when we take in character, when we're building backstory for character, we forget that we need to be taking in all of them and making a plan for all of them. You don't know how many times we see somebody who comes in and they're like, I know all my lines, my age is 17, I actually speak with a southern drawl, and it's real nice, and every time I'll show up on set, I'm going to talk like this, and everybody going to know about it. And when you get there, you're like, whoa, oh, hell, great, they have all this stuff. But then they're walking like this. And they're so graceful, and they're like, pleasing around. And when they drink, they're drinking so properly. Maybe they come from a different place in their life. And you're like, interesting. They're giving me southern drawl, like has this kind of comfortable, real relaxed feel. But their physical prowess is that they're the Queen of England, right? So we are prepping and getting ready for those things. And it comes with additional amounts of prayer. I think when we're getting ready to step on, we just pour out all of the prayer that we can. Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I think it's, while you were talking, honey, I was like, where do we get to practice this? We're prayerful. God, give me what you want me to have for this scene. But then what I love is that you can take improv classes, but we've got to be practicing it in the self-tape room. Yes. Have a reader where, you come in and you improv different first moments and different last moments, even if you really know your character and you're like, this is how it is. I'm stubborn. This is how I see him or her. making sure you improv with that reader your first and last moments at least. Because that's what's been so fun about taping with Justin is, I think he's so funny. So if I have a comedic scene, then I'm like, hey, I'm going to try this. Let's work off of each other and try like 4 or 5 different last moments. Is there anyone who doesn't know what a last moment is in a self-tape? And it's okay to raise your hand. Great. That's so amazing. Okay, so you have a script. A lot of people are tempted in the self-tape room. I'll use a little mark for the camera to roll, and you're already like right here, right? And it could be that we'll use Running the Bases as an example of what I was just talking about, that movie. It's a baseball movie. We played love interests, and my character was a cheerleader, and I'm coming in with my friends, and then I see this guy being a goofball, right? So my first moment, instead of just starting here and doing my lines, I decided to walk in and talk about how I was trying out for the cheerleading squad, right? I was like, I just, and I totally made up stuff. That was my first moment and landed, and it made it into the movie. Hopefully, the final cut. We don't know. Okay, so, and then the last moment, I'm already here at my spot. I laugh and I say, I love that idiot. That's my line, which I love. And I say, I think I love that idiot. And then on the way out, my last moment was, instead of I love that idiot cutting the camera, I said, I love that idiot. And then I looked at Justin, who's my reader, on the other side of the camera, and I was like, what? And I went off. And that was my last moment because she was a sassy little cheerleader, I guess. So you want to just make sure you're not just feeling like you're stuck in this tiny little square and feeling so limited, because I don't know about y'all, but God does not make me feel limited. And so I think it's fun when you have a great reader and you don't feel limited by God to play, to use what the writer has given you, but they want to see you bring their writing to life within reason.
Yep.
But that's an example.
Oh, it's a great example. And I think one of the things that comes with that is like the time. We were talking about this with self-tapes, like the time that you get to rehearse. Sherry said it in our panel yesterday when we were talking about, like, you can do 700 takes, and often, there are projects that we hold so close to our heart. We're like, oh, this is the next Kendrick Brothers movie. We have to do our best audition, right? And we're like, okay, so we'll just give up 4 weeks, and we'll just practice for a month, and we'll tape for 3 days, and you know what I mean? And that's not practical. And the working actors and the people that we know and we talk to and that we're accountable with, that we are talking about our careers, and no one's doing that, right? Often and specifically if you're working on something and then you're trying to be seen for something else, you have to do it in your hotel, and you're like, well, I'm exhausted. We shot 17 scenes today, and we're going to move into the next scene, and those things can take a toll on what you feel like you need to do. So there's freedom in letting your work be your work and just like being honest and just doing your stuff. And for me, if it's like I have a couple jokes I want to try, I'll do them. I'll do, one take with each joke in the script or in the take. And I'll just watch it back and be like, yeah, they're great. You know what I mean? I feel good about them. Because, it comes down to so many different factors that play into it, whether you book a role or not, that we have to stop looking at things with such a minute detail of, okay, is my eye perfect? Yes, your eye lines are incredibly important. The quality of your tapes should always be great. I applaud everybody in this room that travels with a self-tape setup. If you've got like a backpack with a little camera, or even just a tripod with your phone and a light for whatever on the side, or backlight, or you utilize really good light that you're in, those are important things. We can't just like selfie a self-tape and we're like trying out all these things, because your improv and your comedy, or your dramatic improv, if a moment calls for it, could be incredible, but if you're sacrificing those things, you're probably not going to get seen the way that you want to be seen, or you're not going to get the part, which is kind of a bummer. So it's been interesting to watch how the flip side of our freedom as actors can award incredible moments on set where we both have watched directors and writers and people just like, you come out like, if you're, most of the time, the whole crew's not in the room when you're shooting. There's often a lot of people. But like, you step out of a room in a house and there's, Video Village and all these things. And we've seen people just be like watching actors as they walk after they just delivered a great improv moment. And they're just like mind blown. And that's the reward for high risk. When you take a choice and you're like, I'm going to try this. Director's giving me a little bit of space to play. I'm going to go for it. And it pays off, oh, it's the best ever. And you're like, yes, we're accomplishing the same story, we're collaborating as a team, and things are going well. On the flip side to that, I have seen people like not able to shoot the rest of their scenes because of how discouraged they are when they've tried something and it doesn't go right, or when they keep messing up and they're like, I'm supposed to cry in this scene and I'm not crying. Can we just keep shooting it? And, Amber and I have other thoughts on the whole crying thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not getting tears down your cheeks, that may be the best thing ever, because our emotions in our eyes, right? We could talk about that later, or you can email us. We'd love to talk with you. But there's so much to that and to this side of the world that we think is maybe scary and that we don't want to try. But I would encourage everybody that when we're walking with Christ and when we're in this relationship with him where we trust him with every decision, those decisions become very, very small. And the discouragement or even the encouragement becomes more of a, okay, it either worked great, let's move on and do it again, or it didn't work and we're going to move on and do something else, right? It's a huge part of it. So it's important to be aware of those things and to be talking and thinking about how does this affect everybody on set. We're going to play a few improv games, which will be super fun. I know we've got some fun actors in the house. We're going to call some people up. I did want to touch on something before we played that game. To kind of, because we'll play some games and then we'll do a Q&A. If you guys have any questions, that's great. But before we play that game, I wanted to touch on something that Rebecca and Amber and Sherry and Rich and I talked about last night in the panel, where Rebecca was talking about continuity, right? And we were talking about the elements of different days when you're shooting, because I don't know if everybody knows this, but often you don't shoot a movie in consecutive order of the shoot, right? If the opening scene is not usually on day one, often actually I've seen that the opening day is the final day, because for some reason that's just how it's worked out for so long. But you're shooting everything out of order, which as an actor can mess with your psyche a little bit. We get on set and we're like, wait, hold on. I bawled my eyes out yesterday at the end of the film, and today I'm dabbing it up with my best friend saying, welcome to the school. How does this work? You know what I mean? So we're trying to play through those things and realize that when we're prepped, when we're centered, when we're grounded, we take each day as they come, and we walk on a set with the same mental capacity for what can happen, what can go wrong, and also how we can play with our character and get to know that character on a deeper level. As we've been prepping for post-production and for some of the press on LifeMark, we've been talking about I'm used to talking about my character in the third person. Like, oh, Nate's a great guy. He's awesome. I love him. He was fun. He's great, because I had to, as David was also saying, or Rick was saying, you have to completely de-roll from that. So there's I know I'm hitting so many things. I'm trying to circle it back and make all my points, right? But when we go to and we talk about the continuity, as specifically when we're utilizing the tool of improv and the tool of thinking, on the fly and giving a delivery that's maybe not specifically scripted, or not a conversation that's been had with the director or a producer or even an AD in the moment who can communicate for you, those moments and those things can become so tricky, because I could be sitting at school on Friday, right, and if we're playing high schoolers, or if we're in, college even, and we're sitting and we're like, man, I can't wait for school to let out on Friday. And, that's tonight. And then, oh, wait, Saturday, that means I can go to my coffee shop and play basketball later with the team and, going to go on a great date with this super cute girl. That'd be awesome. But then we're like, it's Monday in the story. And we come down and Scripty's like, hey, no, that's not right. That's not right. You're supposed to say this, and it's actually Monday. And you don't go back to school at all in the story, so you shouldn't talk about school, because you're going to lead people to think that later in the movie there's a scene that takes place at school again, and we're like, yikes! So that kind of enhances, before we play our game, a couple things that I wanted to talk about with character. And just because we want to be utilizing the skill that improv allows us to practice and get used to, it doesn't give us a get-out-of-jail-free card to be memorized and to know your character inside and out. It's part of one of the games we're going to play today, which is coming up with a character right in the moment, and being ready for those things that you can't plan for. I think that's what really, really, really great improvisational actors are awarded with. You have something to say on that?
Yeah, I love thinking about it this way, you guys. A lot of our students will be like, hey, what is your approach to getting to know your character? And I think sometimes it can feel, is my mic on?
Yeah.
Am I good? Okay. It can feel a little bit like script analysis and you're back in school. Some of my students are like, I just feel like this is so much work, all that kind of stuff, right? I like to pretend and go somewhere that I'm taking my character out to coffee. And if you're a good friend, ask your character questions, right? Because if I'm going out to coffee, you know, with my friend Stephanie, then if I'm really listening to her, taking her in, getting to know her, then I am just so her focused and just asking her as many things as possible to get to know her heart. Make sure you're doing that with your character, because we can't improv in character and really know what we would say if we do not deeply know that person like a best friend, right? And then we're becoming that person. So, and it's also really fun to kind of find a place that you enjoy to go to do your script analysis, to not treat it like it's homework. This is like so exciting what we get to do as actors. So just make sure that you're finding joy while you're doing all that homework, because it's really evident that if you don't know, when we watch the self-tape or when someone has us, you know, a director do something on the fly, they know if you don't know. You can't improv something that isn't what your character would say, right? And so I like to think of that, taking out your character out to coffee.
Yeah, that's so good. Does anybody feel like they've watched a movie or a show like recently or in the past where you're like, I bet that wasn't in the script? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah. That's not great. You know what I mean? Like, we want to be like everything that's said, every piece of information, we want to feel like it's that character through and through, and that they're not coming up with it in the moment, right? We want to feel like when we're talking, just like right now, you guys have no idea that I'm about to say the word hippopotamus, right? You're listening, you're intent, you're paying attention to what's being said. And that's the same way when we get on set, that sometimes as improv actors or as actors who utilize this skill, we can say something that's so out of left field, or we can make something that we think is so funny, and then everybody on set's like uncomfortable because it's like you're taking the scene in a different direction and you're off the time and you're off of the pace of the film, right? Rebecca was just saying this right before we started, that you're like, this is a big oneer, and what in the world? You're supposed to be done in 47 seconds because Dave Svensson's got to get to the end of a train, and Justin stood there monologuing for, you know, about whatever he had for breakfast that day, and it's not in the story. It doesn't enhance it. It doesn't bring us, you know, closer to what the collaborative mission is for the film. So it's amazing to be aware of those things when we're planning for our role and our character, which I would say to everybody in this room, improv doesn't have to just happen right in the moment. I would tell you all that you can come up with things as an actor and bring your ad libs to the table the same way that you would write a great joke for a comedy set, or that you would divert a conversation into great questions if it's if it's a scene between a friend and the other friend is moving away and she has to say something about I'm going to come back and visit you, and you're supposed to ask a question. Why don't you have 3 questions prepared, specifically if it's at the end of, you know, the short film or the end of the scene, and if it guides us to the next scene fluently, and there's nothing that's like, whoa, that's out of left field. Those things can be brought to the table, and that kind of leads me into having the conversation every time with the people that are in the decision-making business, right? Which happens to be like often producers, but they don't, most of the time, a director, an AD, or often a writer if they're on the table, because a writer will tell you that will totally devalue the mission of what we're trying to accomplish. So why don't you just stick to what we have? And be like, got it. I'm memorized, so it's not a big deal. Unless you're like, I thought my idea was so good that I didn't memorize my lines. That can be kind of a bummer, and it can be really hard on the day. So when you're prepping, or when you get the opportunity to act, if it's in a short film, if it's in something you're creating yourself, if it's something that you've booked through an agency or you're traveling to go do it, we encourage everybody to take your character to coffee and sit down with them, get to know them, build a through and through understanding of who they are. And often what we find that will happen is you will start developing questions as that character from where their perspective sits in the film. I had this great opportunity with Kevin Peoples and Alex on LifeMark in a scene, and I won't give anything away, but I was struggling with a joke. There was a joke in the script that was there, and there were lots of jokes that I was telling, but this joke just didn't feel right in that scene, because I was like, there's this sweet moment, and then Nate comes in with this crazy joke. Should I do it? Should I not? And they were like, let's do it this way. Let's shoot it once, and then let's also shoot it a second time with the other option where we don't have the joke. And we were just talking yesterday, and I'm like, dude, guess what? The joke didn't make it. We cut the joke. We trimmed the scene down. And I was like, okay, great. That one encouraged me to go, oh, we did the prep and did the understanding to know this probably won't make it in, so I'm not just going to sit here and monologue and make a joke every 35 seconds or something that's enhanced by my character, because it may not even make the cut of the film, or it's not going to enhance the storyline that is ultimately why we're there, right? And if it's about collaborative, if we're going back to the scripture, if it's about thinking of others the way that God does and not thinking about ourselves, we should be more inclined to make those decisions. So have conversations with the writer, director, with anybody that can help you story-wise. Script supervisors are awesome. If I say scripty, that's script supervisor. They sit in Village with headphones, right? And they're listening to everything you say. And they've got notes, and they're not only making notes about what you say, they're making take notes, and they're communicating with the second assistant director who's slating and saying, okay, Justin said lines that were so not on the script on, Charlie, and Charlie is ABC, right? And Charlie, take 4, whatever it was. And we need to mark that because Alex or Steven or Kevin or whoever it was like, circle that, we want that take. So then they're communicating. So you build this bond with a few of the people that you don't think that you're going onto set to be utilizing improv or utilizing your character background or whatever, that you build, and you walk away going, man, I have a friend in those people, right? It's like, that's so fun, and you feel more about the collaboration, less of the, I'm in my trailer the whole time, I stepped out, I shot a movie, and now I'm back in my trailer drinking coffee or, reading or doing whatever you're doing in your trailer, right? It's like, oh, I'm like part of this family. That's when we cry when we walk away from set, when we were able to do the work at the beginning that led us into making decisions that helped us. So we're going to play a little game. I'm excited. This is a little bit of a twist on a game. I'm not going to tell you what the game is until we get a couple volunteers, because that's kind of part of what improv is. So I need 3 people. Anybody? Raise your hands. Okay. What's your name? Yep. Isaac, come on up. What's your name? Yep. Bo, come on up. What's your name? Brittany, come on up. Isaac, Bo, and Brittany.
How long do we have?
We've got 30 minutes. We're golden. Great. Welcome up. Okay, great. How are you guys? Great. Awesome. Welcome. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to set you guys up for a scenario, but I'm going to give you marks to walk into, which is what we would do in film, because the difference is, yes, we said at the beginning, we came into the industry from film and television, but from theater, but we're taking this energy from this and, bringing it microscopically down here. Dave's back in the back of this room. You can ask him if they're on a really, really tight lens and we're like, hey, Mom, can you take me to the park or whatever? Dave is like, whoa, yes, right? Or he's doing this and he's pointing his foot and he's getting ready to, you love him. So there's a beauty to like figuring out what those are. So let's call the chair your one, Isaac, right? Yeah. I don't know why there's a coin on it, but could be very special. Let's call that your one. Guys, what's Isaac's occupation? Doctor? You're a doctor, okay? What is Brittany, right? What is Brittany's occupation? You're a clown? What? Teacher? I kind of like clown. It'll throw him. Okay, and then Bo. Horse trainer's interesting. Okay, so a horse trainer and a clown walk into a doctor's office, right? Here's what we're going to do. Your guys' marks are going to be, let's make them cheated to camera. We're going to call this entire space a camera, so we're on a -35 lens. These are going to be your 2 marks right here. Boom and boom. This will be your 1. This will be your 1. You need to go from your 1 to your 2, which will be the podium, okay? And I want you to go back and forth from it 3 times in the midst of the scene. Okay. 3 times. From the chair to the podium 3 times.
Anytime during the scene.
Anytime during the scene, from those 3 times. And you need to be doing doctory things. So, pretend that you're writing on a clipboard or whatever you want to do. The doctory things. You got it, Isaac?
Yeah.
You guys think he's going to do a great job? I do. I feel it in my soul. Good. You're a clown, right? Or are you a clown? Clown, what do we say? Horse trainer? Okay, you're a horse trainer. Great. So we're going to have a conversation in the doctor's office. Why do you think the clown and the horse trainer are here? Anybody have an idea? Yeah, I was just about to say, I think marital issues would have been really funny, but also in the scheme of a mixed crowd, let's do the circus. Something went wrong at the circus, okay? I want you guys to share with him what went wrong at the circus, and you, remember, you got to go back and forth 3 times. Here's what I want you guys to do. Come over this direction. You walk over towards the corner of the room and plug your ears. Okay.
Justin.
Okay, we're ready. Here we go. Do, 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 do. Okay, so you got your one. We're going to start you on your chair. These two are going to come in from the background, and we're going to start the scene. Yeah?
Guys,
Okay.
let's give them a round of applause.
Yeah, come on.
They're doing this.
Okay. All right, so.
Can you see okay over there?
Yep.
I'll give notes over here too.
Scene one, Apple, take one. Mark it. Action.
I'm sorry. I need healing. Can you translate for me, please?
Don't know.
Oh, wonderful. Can I get your names first, please?
Zuzu.
Zuzu. Wonderful.
Johnny Voodoo. Zuzu,
Great.
Johnny Voodoo.
Great. Well, just one moment.
Zuzu wants to know why Johnny having a problem.
Wonderful. Having a problem. Can
Because
you?
all I did was I kick him and he go, whoa!
Steve, can you please describe how you're feeling? Any injuries?
Yes, I told you that mule kicked me in the place.
The mule?
Zuzu went, whoa!
Zuzu went woo. I thought he went woo.
I went woo, and she went woo
We
first.
both went woo. I understand. Well, have you been examined yet? Has the nurse seen you?
No,
No?
that's why I came to you, doctor.
I'm sure I understand. We'll get you scheduled right away.
You know, Zuzu
Name
really,
here, please.
really wants you to know that I didn't mean to hurt him.
I'm sure you did it.
Excuse me, Zuzu. Hey, you guys, the show starts in like 15 minutes, and the circus doesn't have insurance, so we can't pay for this visit. I'm gonna take them out. Thank you, Doc. We'll have someone pay you in a few hours.
For sure.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yay.
Okay, come on out, you guys. Come on out. Okay, so first, what's the first thing everybody noticed about each character? Just quickly, kind of throw it out. Zuzu's walking. Okay, he's marching in place. That's it. That I didn't give him. That's unique. I liked it. It was his own thing. What about Isaac? What do we give Isaac? He moved. Did we count? Who counted? Only twice, right? I didn't notice the third. I thought I counted two, but if there was a third one, I missed it. That's okay. That's part of it. What did we notice about our two circus clowns and our horse trainer for the circus? Anything specifically? There were accents. Yep, they came in. Yep, she talked in the first person like clowns. They're like very unique that way. Here, step over this way. I want everybody to see you. Amber, what did you notice, or what did you think?
I love how bold you guys were. It's so hard to do that
Yep.
here. And my favorite thing of all, anyone who knows me knows that I love when someone really gives good eye contact. Like even if you're doing improv, it's so tempting to just like act for yourself. You all were very engaged. Did you guys notice that? So even though you didn't move 3 times, if I'm the director, I go, this guy was more invested in them. Okay, he didn't get all of his blocking perfect, right? And that's okay because he was so engaged with his people, and that's more important to put them first, and then us take another, do another take, and him get his 3 marks or whatever. So I love that about you guys. I also love how bold it's as a female too, to just come in and be dorky. Let's go. Okay. Does anyone agree for women? Like, come on.
Somebody.
I just love, we never can lose that. So a little thing for my girls, don't be afraid. Don't worry about always being cute or looking pretty.
Come on.
Be the character and just trust that one of the best things about you is to be unique. And we lose that sometimes as we age as women. No, be that little middle schooler forever. Okay, so that was awesome.
I love it.
And I really, really love how you went there with your voice. And even though you didn't always know what to say, and I was like, is he going to say where he kicked him? Right? It was more fun that you paused and went, he kicked me in the places or whatever. So I love that. So thank you for keeping it clean too. You guys did great.
Good job, guys. Good job. Go ahead and sit down for a second. I love it. So there's this thing that we do, one, in theater-based improv, but I've watched it happen on sets more and more often, is this unique arc of chaos that ensues when you have no trajectory, right? When there's no story at hand that is very clearly laid out from point A to point B, there's not a beginning, middle, and end. Amber and I's studio is called Rising Action Studio, and there's a purpose for that, right? We have in a story arc, you've got the beginning, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the end. And we want to try to have an impact on the rising action, because before we all reach our specific career high, let's call it, right? It's your it could be your whole season. It could be, honestly, when we have Christ, it's all of that, and when we're walking to that. But there is a time that you start to make projects and things that are there, and we want to be able to speak into those things. And the same way that we visualize story arcs and we watch scenes individually do the same thing, as well as like full little 20-second bits or a monologue or whatever, where we will say and do things and chaos will start to ensue, and then we start to step on each other's lines, and then things physically start to get out of scope. And as a camera team, they're like, whoa, I can't follow these guys. I don't know. And specifically if it's something where it's not, if there's no movement, right? If there's not a steady cam or a gimbal or something that's following us, if you're on a locked off set, you kind of have to freeze and do your thing, right? Which is kind of hard. I do have a couple more. Who wants to try to do a little monologue and it's not comedic? Anybody? Okay. You want to try it? Come on up. What's your name? Rob? It's kind of cold. Yeah, Amber, take over for a second. I'm going to take Rob into the back for just a second.
Oh, yes, I get to talk about dramatic improv, which is my favorite. I'll be walking and talking at the same time. Okay, so you guys, drama is my absolute favorite, I must admit, because I think it's just where God used acting for me to really make me face being vulnerable on camera, right? So drama, it just is so hard to imagine you're crying on cue and you have to stay in it, right? And maybe have some improv at the end where the camera's still rolling. So when we were talking about that earlier, something I learned being on set is that until they say cut, you have to keep going, right? That can just feel really nerve-wracking. So something that I think could be really helpful for self-tapes for drama is, I did a period piece, which was also really hard to think of improv back in the day. So you have to do, a lot of homework to make sure that if the camera's still rolling, were they using a kettle? How was I standing? How can I even improv with a moment where I'm grabbing a laundry basket? How did they do it? Because they're not like this, like us Americans now. They walk a lot differently. So who knows what Meisner training is, the Meisner acting technique? Okay, great. So that is really improv-based, and it's really intense. It is so much more about... if Justin is in Meisner with me and he's standing over there, the improv with him is that we actually start from the basis of ourself. So you wouldn't be coming in improving as your characters. The technique would be that we would be coming in and being Amber and Justin and having to look down and look up, and the first thing that I see about Justin, we would repeat that I notice, right? So that technique, I would really encourage you to look at, because if you struggle getting there emotionally, they have you improv at a place of who you are first, which as Christians is really cool. It was a little tricky when I went to college and it wasn't faith-based, because there can be some pretty nasty things, honestly, that people can say, because sometimes the first thing they could say is, you look really insecure. You don't. You look awesome. But that can be something that people say. When you're a Christian and you take Meisner and the foundation is to listen first, it is amazing to think that in drama, if I'm listening to this person, I'm not thinking, is my stomach looking weird right now? Oh, is there something in my teeth? Oh, my hair's looking weird. I'm so focused on this other person that just like comedy distracts us because we're like thinking and like playing around, right? Yep. And focused. Then you can do that in drama too, and you won't be so focused on, am I crying on cue? Am I doing this right? Do I look dramatic, right? So just think that if you're struggling emotionally, get off of yourself and focus on the other person, and God will work in that space.
Oh, come on. That was good. Rob's ready.
Now let's have fun.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Rob.
it seemed like it's been so long since I've seen you. Hope you've been doing well. I know maybe I didn't mean to, but maybe it wasn't the friend I needed to be at. I'm probably overthinking that, but I wish things would be the way they were before. Maybe I'll get a chance someday. Let's see.
Hey, your mom let me in. She said, "Oh, you good?
Huh? What?
Are you okay?
Yeah. What's up?
You don't look okay. You want to talk about it?
No, I'm good. What you thinking about?
I think we should talk, dude. I mean, we haven't seen each other in 3 years, 5 years. What's it been?
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. What have you been up to?
You know, just working, trying to get ready. I think I found the one, dude. I think I'm gonna propose. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to know?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Oh, do you remember Amber from high school? When we
Amber.
from band class, she played the clarinet.
Yeah.
The clarinet. She was like kind of fun with.
Yeah, she was always playing that Peppa Pig thing
Yeah,
all the time.
You're
It was
so right.
funny.
I miss this, dude. I miss this.
Yeah.
I know I kind of left you high and dry, and I just I want to be honest that it took me a while to come back. You know, after we lost Dad. You know.
Yeah.
Do you think that we'll ever get back to how things used to be?
I think we will someday. But,
I'm looking forward to that day.
yeah,
It's good to see you, man.
man.
Ha ha! Good work. Good work. Rob, what does it feel like? It feels weird, right? Yeah, it feels terrible. Yeah, it's still cold, right? It's unique when there's not structure in place, but also there's some freedom, right? We have no idea where it can go. Amber.
Justin, what was your prompt? Is anyone else curious what Justin asked him to do?
So I asked Rob to just come in and start like he was making a video diary of a friend or a brother or somebody who has not been in his life for a while, and gave him a few seconds, and then I didn't even tell him that I was going to knock on the door and come in, and he just sat, which is good because those things are real, right? When those things happen. Now on set, we normally know somebody's knocking on the door, but also there are unplannable things that happen that sometimes make the best movies. Have you guys heard of In Overcomer when Priscilla Shire just totally went off script and they said, share the gospel with this character Aaron the way that you would share the gospel, and that's the cut that they used in the film? That's the type of freedom that we're looking for.
And Rob, what I love about what you did when you came in is I don't know how long you've been doing this, but did anyone else enjoy how much freedom he felt taking time and not talking? It's so amazing. You know, there's this style, one of my friends were talking about in acting, where she went to college and she had to just sit. It's like this technique where they make you come in by yourself in your home, right? If this was like my room, and you have to just exist there and everyone's watching you. That feels really awkward, right? And so I was like, oh, were you like brushing your teeth? And she was like, no. I was like, were you folding laundry? And she's like, are you always doing stuff at home? I was like, yes. And so I was like really stressed. I was like, you just sit there and people are staring at you? And so Rob, I really love how you were very endearing because you looked, even though you were terrified, which is totally how I feel so much, I did not see it. You know, and cold.
Yeah,
and the only thing I saw that through you was when Justin, knocked and you smiled for a second. And then did you guys see he had a little break and then he got back into it? And why do you think, if you don't mind sharing with everyone, how did you get back to it once you were surprised that Justin came in? Were you aware of how you stayed in it?
Sorry, say again?
So you had a little break. So I'll show you real quick. When Justin went like this, where you smiled, did anyone else notice? He like smiled and was like, oh snap, Justin just is coming in. Is he done? I think you didn't know if he was cutting the monologue, right? But then Justin comes in and acts with you.
I thought he was just knocking on the door. I didn't think he was going to walk in.
Right. So how did you go from smirking to then getting back into the scene? Do you know?
Oh man, now I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah. But that's what's so awesome is you treated him like a person. You're like, I'm just going to talk to him, and he put his focus on who? Justin or himself? Justin.
Yep.
So that's great, Rob. So good job.
Good job, dude. I'm so grateful. Dude, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I love it. So there's something, we're going to do one really quick game, and then we're going to open up for a few minutes for questions. But there's something so empowering about the freedom of like no story, but there's also something even more empowering when there is a story, right? And when there is a structure, and when that structure, you're able to dance around that structure and bring life to it already in play, in motion, right? If you shot several days, or if and I think this is one of the things that we often forget, and we're like, we have to come up with something so different and so unique and so, but you can take really, really great beats or really great narrative that's already in place, and you can just tweak them to what your character would say. And I would just give a quick piece of advice to any actor in here who self-tapes on a regular basis. And this is my personal opinion, so if you guys, want to pray about this and come to a different conclusion, totally fine. But a line that says, hello, my name is Justin, me changing that to, hey, what's up, I'm Justin. There's authenticity to the way that I say who I am and I direct myself, right? As a director, as a producer, as somebody who's been on the casting side of film and television, I so much prefer to see somebody as they are when they enter the frame. And if I'm writing it, or if I have the writer sitting next to me, we are looking at the authenticity that's coming through the screen, not that they didn't say hello, right? So I would encourage you guys to look at opportunities to transition your work into being more grounded in who you are than feeling like everything is this box and this confine of, if I say one word, if I add an or an and, I'm not going to get the part. Now, I will be honest with you. There are directors, there are writers, there are producers, there are teams that come in and say, no, we want this line for line, perfect. At that point in your career, you're ready for those things, right? If you get a callback, normally I would say if you veer off script a little bit in your audition and somebody sees something in you that is enough for them to be like, I would like to get this person a callback or an opportunity to be in the film, they will tell you, hey, we want you to do another take. We want a callback tape, but we want to be honest with you. If you can do it word for word on the script, we'd love to see your delivery of, exactly what the script is, because they've already seen in you the ability to perform and to tell the story, and now they are going to see, can you take the direction? Can you move along into that?
And can I tag in real quick?
Please.
One of my favorite things is when someone does that, right? They want you to do it exactly how the script is. I really like that, right? Because I feel very type A when it comes to being on the other side of the camera, right? And don't, take it personally like they're squashing your creativity. However, what you can do to feel so much freedom is thinking about that I can do whatever with the other actor, with my emotions, with my facial expressions, right?
Yes.
So if you feel limited, like, oh, I don't get to say whatever I want, you do get to do so much with your face, right? So it's totally, don't feel limited when someone has boundaries with their writing as well.
Oh, Amber, that's so good. Guys, we're going to play a real quick game that I like that just gets our blood flowing and that gets our mind sharp. This is called One Word Story. Have you guys played this game? Okay, so we're going to start with either in the beginning, there was a cat, the cat went to. These are things and tools that seem rudimentary in the moment, but ultimately will get your brain ready for the opportunities on set to say monologues and to be ready for all of those things. Are you guys ready? Okay.
Just in 5 minutes.
Yep,
Heads up.
I gotcha. Thank you so much. Let's start, Mackenzie, and go down this way, and then we'll circle it back. So face out this way. You can start with whatever you want.
Okay.
There was a car. It was awesome. Something. Any one word.
Okay. Once.
On.
Three.
There.
Was.
A.
Found.
That.
Sang.
Shark. And.
Danced.
By river.
Thank you.
That's it. Okay. We're going to end on 2 words. Thank you. Okay. Does it feel weird?
Yes.
Why does it feel weird?
Because it's just random. It just.
Let me tell you guys, this is the core of listening. When we are like so focused on what's happening to the right or left of us, instead of being like, oh, I'm going to say this word or I'm going to say this thing. This is part of the collaborative effort when we're making film or television or whatever. When we're like, oh, he said in, she said the, I'm going to say beginning, or in the darkest hour. Everything changes, right? I'm not telling you guys did anything wrong, but I'm saying like you were expecting as an audience for it to say in the beginning, right? And this is scripture, but also in the time of Camelot. Whoa, you know what I mean? So we're listening and we're prioritizing. I'm going to add to the story by bringing new little trickles into it, right? Good job.
Justin,
guys.
can I try something real quick?
Please.
Can you guys get in a square and don't face any of them? So let's have Mackenzie. Sorry, I'm such a toucher. You here. Kate, come close. So like real close. I want you guys like looking at each other intimately. Okay, not too close. They're like, we're such good friends. Okay. Now I want you to do it again, and we're gonna go this way. Don't look
You
at
two
the
share
audience.
this mic. Amber, can they share your? Or
Yeah.
here, hand him this one.
So we're gonna go boom, 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 boom. Keep going. Okay. Okay. There you go. I want to see if it's better. Somebody else want to start? Go for it.
Once.
Upon.
A.
December.
There.
Was.
Snow.
Falling.
Off.
The.
Rooftops.
I.
Couldn't.
See.
Anything.
I.
Fell.
Off.
The.
Roof.
Stop. Oh, okay, Amber. Pause for a second. The first story, when we're facing out, not connected to our individuals, had something to do with Lulu Shark and something else, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember what the story was about. This story is a film I would pay a ticket to go see, right? There's snow falling off a mountain in the deepest, darkest September or December. I'm like, ooh, mystery, right? Amber, why is this so much more important than...
Is this one on too? Doesn't matter which one I use, probably not. I just think this totally sums up what this session is about, is that when we are making it about human connection, we're getting off of audience, right?
Yep.
And did you guys see how much more settled they were? They were looking at each other and they were giggling. Like Kate had this cute moment with Mackenzie where she's like that. That is good. Those are things that I would put as a director in, that I'm like, she's so precious, right? I would want to put that on camera. Would anyone else?
Come on.
Yes, and then you got like really settled and sincere, and I was like, oh, I want to put him in drama, right? So I
ever
think
heard that
that
before,
this
Charlie?
just shows that when we don't worry about the audience and we connect with other people, that's when our performance is good,
Oh.
whether it's drama or comedy.
Let's hear it for our team, guys. Hey, we've got 1 minute. Is there any like dying question that's been from the beginning of the session that anybody's like freaking out about or wants to know? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely not.
You can get a
Maybe
premium
through some
guild membership to see it
Yeah,
word
yeah,
for word
right.
once again.
That's it, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. We so appreciate it. We don't deserve any of what God has done, and we're just so excited to be here and to watch everybody making an impact and a decision to like experience and learn more about their craft. This is cool. This is the first time our business has ever done online classes, but if anybody wants to sign up for some online classes on Wednesday evenings, come talk to us and we'll put you on the list. And we'd love to encourage you guys via Zoom, because I know not everybody here is from the area that we live. If you do live in Atlanta or north of Atlanta, you can come to in-person classes. But that's it. We love you all. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Amber. That was amazing.
Thank you so
Love
much.
it.